Thank you, Senator. First of all, this is obviously very exciting to me. I think there's a lot of wins we can be achieving here. Added wireless capacity, funding FirstNet, helping local broadcast affiliates make some money, which is not a bad thing indeed, and of course helping bring more revenue for deficit reduction or other needs. There's one area of all this actually that we're not discussing that I just want to pull out a little bit. There's television white spaces or guard bands that have just begun to offer new exciting access and innovation opportunities for our economy. It's unclear what's going to become of them after this auction, and when it's all said and done. And so the unlicensed spectrum in higher ranges has already brought us incredible innovations from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cordless phones, RFID, and wireless microphones, to name a few. And now white spaces in and near this auction's range offer greater reach and penetration that some have even dubbed super Wi-Fi. These characteristics promise, again, new innovations and access potential that really excites me as I'm concerned with disadvantaged populations. And we're just beginning to see the research in this space and how it's really offering real great opportunities for increased investment in new technology. But this is going to be hampered if there's uncertainty. So I want to see these spaces protected as we repack the spectrum, and predictability, which is so important for investment, is provided to innovators and investors. So really to start out, to Harold Feld, I was mayor of Newark and became really concerned about the digital divide. And there's this powerful democratizing force going through our society that's allowing poor folks, disadvantaged folks, to connect into using the internet opportunities that we never once even imagined. From Kickstarter and Kiva, access to capital, to many other things. And so I'm really concerned about this phenomenon's role in the digital divide really hampering us in education, social mobility, and other things. It's interesting, the Wall Street Journal ran an article about children actually even needing to go to McDonald's just to get access to do what they need for education. Your testimony talked about a pilot program by libraries to extend their Wi-Fi into communities using these TV white spaces, which really excites me. Assuming the E-rate statute would allow it, could public schools use TV white spaces to provide access to school children when schools are closed? And more importantly, are there other ways this technology could make Wi-Fi connectivity abundant instead of scarce? What are your concerns regarding the potential impacts of this incentive auction on those TV white spaces?
Thank you, and yes, one of the most exciting things about the TV white spaces, as we've seen with other forms of unlicensed, is once you make this available and start making this an equipment purchase rather than a multi-billion-dollar license purchase, it really frees the potential in innovation. There are many people who have commented this is the innovation band, and that means down at every level of society. We are looking at a world where through TV white spaces, you can have schools would be able to extend their connectivity from the school out into the neighborhood. The propagation characteristics allow you to set up line of sight and even non-line of sight links connecting to people's homes so that Wi-Fi could follow your kid home so that you could actually do your homework at home and not at McDonald's. I also need to add that the FCC had a workshop in which we had representatives from a number of communities who pointed out that one of the biggest issues is getting knowledge of this resource out to minority entrepreneurs. Having them be informed of what's available, have that reliability to invest, and that they have discovered that once people make this discovery of what's available, it is really just phenomenal to see how access to the resource and imagination allows for much greater participation for both economic opportunities and educational opportunities.
Right, and I would just add that entrepreneurialism, what's not going to happen if people are uncertain about what's going to happen in this space. And so in the little bit of time I have remaining, to Joan Marsh, what's AT&T's position on protecting unlicensed spectrum and TV white spaces through this process?
So certainly, sir, there'll be a lot of white spaces left in the 500 megahertz band because only the upper part of the TV broadcast bands are likely to be reclaimed. And given the distances that are necessary to separate broadcasters to protect them from each other, you'll see the continuation of white space availability through 500. We also think unlicensed can live in the 600 megahertz band, consistent with statutory direction. And that direction was to build the guard bands as technically necessary. And then once those guard bands are built, consistent with technology requirements, at that point, there's the possibility that unlicensed uses could live in a guard band. Of course, we'd want to make sure it doesn't create interference for the neighboring wireless allocations, because introducing interference into the band once built would be a big negative. But certainly, we'd be happy to consider any unlicensed uses that do not create interference.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.